Welcome to the Nerd Social Club podcast. It's episode 107. It's Aaron. It's Ped. We've been away for a while, haven't we? We've been away for like nearly a month. We said we were gonna do this more often, and
it's my fault. Hello.
And we've just
it's my fault.
No, I think it's it's a bit of both. It's a bit of everyone. It can be difficult when you've got like 5 hours between you, and it can be nobody can do it. It's not as easy.
The time difference is a challenge.
It is. It's not as easy as just saying we're just going to sit down because things get in the way at times. But here we are, and we've got plenty to talk about. We're going to be catching up on the news that came from DC fandom. We're going to talk about a few of the trailers we've seen, including one today, Lightyear, which we need to talk about. Looks so good, so meta.
Boss Logic as well there.
His hair's amazing. We've got a lot of Marvel stuff to talk about going forward. We've just got a lot to talk about, so we're just going to jump in straight away. Let's just jump in. What have you been watching in the last couple of weeks? What's been floating your boat?
Well, I think I have been watching apparently the rest of the world Squid Game because it's just absolutely immense.
Yeah, Squid Game.
Because you told me to watch it, and it didn't disappoint. It was fantastic. Most watched thing on Netflix ever.
Yeah, what I liked about Squid Game was it is one of those things where it's like a must-watch show, but it actually genuinely was good. And the reason why it is a must-watch show because it's genuinely good, and it's genuinely like first question. And I think this will probably define our relationship going forward. Is did you watch with subtitles or did you watch dubbed?
Oh, I know you're gonna judge me for this.
I'm gonna massively judge you. I'm gonna massively judge you.
I was working while I was watching it.
I don't. Then you're not concentrating. This is the point.
No, because I listen with headphones in.
No.
I hear everything.
I refuse to believe that because you're not watching. I believed. See, I think things that come from that are overseas productions, not Downton Abbey, by the way. I think they need to be watched with subtitles, and the reason I say that is because, listen. I know what you're saying. You can watch these things dubbed, and listen. What I would say about things dubbed is they are terrible. The voice acting is awful in it. For a lot of things, I'm not just picking on this, but for loads of things, they just get the weirdest people to do the voices. But for me, I think one of the reasons I like.
And sometimes it's not just the weirdest voices, but sometimes it's the acting. It's just like. Oh yeah, and then I'm going down to the basement, and he's got a gun. It
doesn't match up. It's like they've been sent a script and just told to do something. So one of the reasons I do like watching in subtitles is it's two reasons. One of them is because I have to watch it then, so I have to concentrate. I have to make sure I'm concentrating on it. So it's not one of these things where I can have my phone and look at my phone. And the reason that is also important, I think, when you've got programs that have massive cultural differences, I like to watch them and understand them because I think there's so many things about Squid Game where you're like, they feel normal, but also they're not normal because it's not our culture, and there's a lot of things. So even things in the background, I think that you need to pay attention to in Squid Game, which are massively important. I think you might miss some of them if you're not watching it properly. So listen, if I understand people can watch anyway they want. I just once I get immersed into something, I just feel like you don't even notice the subtitles.
Oh, absolutely. I've watched plenty of things with subtitles before, and I absolutely agree because there's a lot more care that goes into transcribing what they're actually saying into other languages versus the dub sometimes. And I think this was true of Squid Game, is apparently the actors who were doing the dubbing didn't get the actual final script. They got different versions of the script, and it just didn't match up, and there was lines in there that wasn't originally included and things like that. I mean, listen, for me, it worked while I was working because being crazy lately, but it's still just phenomenal. I think my big hope for all of this is more people start watching more international programming, and Netflix honestly is king for international programming. There are so many amazing international movies and shows on there.
Yeah, there are.
Deserve
No, they do.
eyeballs.
Just because something's not in English doesn't mean it's not good.
Yeah.
And what I've watched I've watched a little bit of Money Heist. I need to go back to that. Lupin, I watched. I've watched
go back and watch part 2. Yeah,
I've watched a couple of films, and I like watching things with subtitles. I like watching things. You think there's a you think of when Parasite won the Oscar and things like that. It's this idea that we're our cultures are somehow massively different, but they're not. They're not fundamentally. They're not, and I think it's one of the great things about streaming has actually been the opening up of world cinema and world TV. That's one of the big fundamental things, and also invest. Like I've said to you before, like I think we said on the podcast, Lupin was actually made by an English guy. I think he actually wrote it, and he actually, but he wanted it to be true to the feel of it. He wanted it to be true to a French guy in Paris and all those little things. We've watched lots of things that, how many times have you watched something where they're in even to the point where you're watching something and someone's like in another country and they're speaking English and their countrymen are speaking the language of the country. Just weird little things like that which sometimes can take you out of it. So no, it's a phenomenal program. Really good concept, and I just loved all the because there's this idea. I think there's this idea that it's like I've seen people say it's dead gory and all. It's not. It's like cartoon blood, most of it. Like the actual.
I was going to say it's not. I thought it was actually quite well done with the implied bloodshed. Yeah. Like they never really, because I mean I've seen. Have you seen the one in the 90s? Battle Royale. It was a Japanese movie. It was basically inspiration for the Hunger Games. I mean that was pretty gory.
Yeah, that was
pretty
brutal. This was like
that bad.
No.
I thought,
No, I thought this was. I honestly just thought it was a lot of it was stuff that you see now all the time, and I thought it was brilliantly done, and the character arc for the main character was brilliant, and and also just the motivation, in it.
Do you know what episode hit home for me, and it will absolutely conflict with what everyone else is saying?
Yeah,
was the second episode.
Oh, I love the second episode.
Yeah, everyone was saying the second episode. Oh, it's slow. It's nothing happening. I was like, yeah, but it literally without that episode, nothing else kind of works forward because they all agree to go, and then it's such a twist and saying, oh yeah, we'll let you go, and they all voluntarily come back.
I really liked the second episode.
Yeah.
Because for me, it showed the desperation of all of them. It showed the desperation. It built up this idea of why they all needed to be back in there and stuff. And I really enjoyed the second episode.
And how harsh life is, and what I mean, life was that harsh. Life was worse on the outside, and they realized, shit, I may as well take my chances with with the Squid Game anyway.
I really hope that. I really hope there's a second season, but it's not just repetitive. Absolutely. I really hope there's. I think what's really good about it is that you were hooked in by the game. You were hooked in by the first game, the giant doll, which I think I could fall asleep to. Her voice just saying what Red she was light. Saying it. Green boss, I love that.
The old man was boss.
No, the old man's amazing. But there's a what I really liked about it there's a definite bigger story obviously behind it, and it touched on it, but it never really went into it. And I don't know whether that's because the guy who wrote it doesn't know what the bigger story is, or whether he does know, or whatever. But I just really like that. That's what they can touch on now if they want to. This, without giving anything away to anyone, it's set it up it's basically set it up to say we can walk away from this or we can go back. And I think there's a mythos there that he could really develop really well. How did this all start? Where did it come from? And that's up to them now what they want to do. But that's what I really hope that's what they focus on, rather than saying, right, we're going to do it all again. I think there's a larger mythos there now that needs to be investigated. And And I hope that's what they touch on in the second season. I think they will do it because there's far too much money involved. There's far too many people joining.
Oh, Netflix absolutely would be going back and being like, we want more of this. And
of course they will.
Listen, I hope the showrunner and the director goes, gets a big old check for that, because apparently, even though he's got the most watched show on Netflix, they didn't come back with him with any like bonuses or anything like that. He got paid, and he was just like, all right. Yeah. So hopefully this second season round, they all get noticeable pay increases, because fantastic. The acting was just really, really good as well. I'm not going to say anything other than the episode, obviously, with the marbles was just Jesus. That one was intense.
For me, episode 6 was just brilliant. It really did. It really sort of stopped you thinking.
Yeah.
This is one thing, and then it suddenly went, no, this is for real. Yeah. This is absolutely for real. No, great show.
Was that the one with the literal cliffhanger?
It's the bridge.
Oh, the bridge. Oh,
it's the bridge.
It's
the bridge. Yeah, and also
great episodes.
This is the other thing, right? And I'm glad, because it's good that it's on Netflix and it wasn't made like by a TV company in South Korea.
Yeah.
Don't ever try and remake it. Don't ever try and remake it with Americans. Please do not do that. Just
let it be.
What you can do is, if you really want to, and obviously this happens in the show, is you can say that there are Americans involved or British involved or whoever, which is already implied in the show.
Expand it in the show.
Expand it to show that this is a global conspiracy of some sort or whatever. But
it's the Illuminati.
Yeah. It's
how they have fun.
Yeah, whatever you do, don't try and remake it, because it would wouldn't be worth it.
Well, and that's just the thing as well. And this goes with anything. It's not just true foreign titles where there's different languages, because I know they tried to do the In-Betweens. They did an American version, and it was terrible. Sometimes you just capture lightning in a bottle. Yeah. It's the right showrunner, it's the right crew behind the scenes, it's the right cast at the right time. And trying to recreate that in other languages doesn't always work. I think one of the few exceptions to that rule might be The Office, because apparently The Office is massive in its own country's versions. Each country has its own version, quite successful, but very, very rarely do those kind of things take off.
No. It was just a great show, and as you said, it went on.
Watch more international stuff. Netflix is a great place for it.
Yeah. So been watching that. I've got into the last few weeks Succession. I watched Billions, and then Billions ended on a real big cliffhanger. Don't know, no idea where they're going to go with that. So I started watching Succession, and oddly enough, Succession is it's a business kind of show. But it feels like it's based on the Murdoch family, and what's interesting about it. It's written by a guy from Oswestry, which is right on the border of England and Wales. It's probably about an hour or so drive from Liverpool. He worked on things like Peep Show. It's produced by Will Ferrell and one of his mates. So it's got these comedy backgrounds to it, but it's got some really adult themes. But at the same time, it can be quite dark. It's really interesting. It's got that feel of The Big Short and it's really, really good though, and they're all vying to take over from Brian Cox, who's the head of the family, who owns this big media company. But it's got some dark themes in it, really dark themes in it. So been watching that, really, really good. I'm watching, just started the second season, and it's got such a unique mix of nobody's likable in it. Absolutely nobody's. It's one of those programs where you hate everybody. Apart from maybe a couple of the side characters, and there's a character in it called, it's basically cousin Craig, who is he's like a cousin of the family, and he's
Yeah.
so he's sort of like the audience's eyes, as in like when someone asks him for something or someone asks him to do something, he's like, do you really want me to do that? Or it's a very interesting show. So I think season 3 has just started. So if anyone wants
I know
to
there was
get,
like a big trailer out and people were that excited about season 3.
yeah, it's HBO, so it's good. So if anyone wants to get into a show and may have watched something like Billions, slightly different from Billions, because Billions has typically got a more serious theme, where this is it's ludicrous at times, but it's ludicrous because they're so rich, and you just think to yourself, you're just idiots. But it's like that thing of being so rich you can do what you want, or you think you can do what you want. And as I said, the cousin's just like the one is the audience is looking at them going, "Are you sure you can do this?" And very, very good show. So I've been watching that.
Nice. I've also been watching, because I know the last time we talked, I was like, I'm watching a bunch of Apple stuff and I can't talk about it. But I was watching. I got the chance to watch the whole of season 1 of Foundation, and I watched the whole of season 1 of Invasion, both on Apple Plus, both sci-fi, but in very different aspects of the term. Because I think you've started watching Foundation, right?
Yeah, and I'm watching it like weekly. Foundation is like Game of Thrones in space, essentially, because it moves around so much, and it actually moves time as well. So, and in the first couple of episodes, you have to get a grip of that. You have to get to grips with what's going on with and where you are and who these people are. And once I think you get a grip, especially with what's the guy's name when there's 3 of them?
Oh, Lee Pace.
What's his character?
He's Empire.
The Empire, which basically means
brother Dawn, brother.
Yeah. So he's
in
charge. He's in charge, but he's a clone, and there's 3 of them, and one's a younger version, one's an older version, and the one in the middle is basically in charge. And at first, you haven't really got a clue. And if you once you get hold of that concept, everything sort of sorts itself out. And it is really interesting because it's about a book that they never thought anyone could ever put it on screen, because it was so complicated, and because it basically it was about.
And the book is even worse, isn't it?
No, that's what I'm saying. The book it's I'm saying it's about an event that it's supposed to end the galaxy, and it's how it affects all the people one by one. And in the book you only sort of stop and see a person's story for a short while, and then you leave them. And I know they have to develop into the you had to obviously put things down, because when you're watching TV you want to get invested in someone. So it's really interesting, and I'm really, from where I am now watching it, there's a lot of mystery which I'm hoping unravels itself soon. So it is really good, but it is one of those things. It is one of those programs that maybe it should have subtitles in, so that you have to make sure you watch it, because it does move around very quickly, and because it's sort of like a lot of characters almost look like each other as well. So 1 minute you're on one character, and it moves to another one. You're like, oh, what just happened? Where have we gone? And you have to watch it all the time.
I know for the first few episodes, I was just kind of like, all right, I'm getting different plot points here, but like there was a lack of connectivity, and I think it starts to bring it together.
Yeah.
Once you get to I think it's like episode 4, you start to see the kind of linking of it, and like, all right, because you almost use what's going on I think it's called Trantor with Empire as like your base of like what's going on with the rest of you. But once they start changing ages, you're like, all right, where are we? What's going on? And it is definitely not it's not something you can just lightly put on in the background and just watch.
Because they do jump in time as well, because these 3 because basically there's an emperor, and because he does age up 1 minute, and because they're clones and they're played by the same actors, obviously 1 minute you're one of them when he's like the middle version, when he's younger, like in his 20s and 30s. And then you go forward like 15 years, and then he's the old version, and you've got to stick and pay attention and know, because if you don't, you'd just be like, what the hell? So it's good. I do like programs that ask a lot of the audience. I don't mind that at all. And it has to be
I like the science and the math behind it, oddly enough, like how it sets up like this. I forget what they call it, like psychohistory or something like that, like the predictive, like math on a galactic scale,
Yeah,
basically saying that everything's cyclical, and you can
yeah,
basically, once you know all the variables, you can kind of
yeah.
see on a large
Well, that
scale
yeah, that's
how things are gonna
basic.
go.
Yeah, because the present the show is basically a guy saying, "I know that bad things are coming because I've worked all the
Yeah,
maths out, and I know." So it's basically like saying, "I know the galaxy's going to end soon because I've." It's like predicting the weather,
yeah,
but on a
yeah, yeah.
on a
It's a forecast. It's a model.
yeah. He's basically forecast it, and some people say you're mad, and other people are like he's got people obviously he's got followers, and it's how people buy into it, and it's how they shape the future based on him. And then there's other people who are stopping that and don't want anything to do that. So it is really
Yeah.
really interesting. And yeah, as I said, it's progressing really well. And this is a show that again I'm really happy is on Apple, because I think Apple are the kind
Yeah.
of company that will just stick with this and give it the 5 years maybe it needs, and just say, yeah, we're in there, because it's
I was gonna say I do believe it got renewed for a season 2, which I was happy about.
yeah. I to be fair to Apple, well, no, Apple has to do that. Like it has to.
Yeah, it
It
doesn't
has
it doesn't have any room for kind of guessing.
No, and if you put so much money in, you're gonna it. It's that thing of like what HBO have been doing for years. It's not about necessarily the viewing figures, because the viewing figures are relative to how many people are on the platform. You've got
Yeah,
to have a body of work that sits there and grows and grows and grows. Like if anyone
yeah,
listen, we are massive fanboys for Apple TV. Um,
yeah.
but if anyone was to come to Apple TV now, they would find just like 4 or 5 top-notch shows they can dig
I
into.
was gonna say it's just growing on top
Yeah,
of each other and getting
and
more
and
and more.
and the way they're timed as well, you always feel like by the time you get to the end of one at the moment, you're going to move on to the next one. And that, to be fair, that's why I found it was an odd crossover to have Foundation coming out and Invasion coming out.
Well, I was gonna say, and you've got the morning show season 2,
Yeah,
like still going forward as well.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
you almost could have given them a bit of like segue, so like as
Mm.
one's finishing, the other one's starting, and so on and so forth. But I don't know, because we're in like this autumn fall period. This is when people start to get into watching shows. They're not outside as much, and maybe it's just kind of like, all right, we need to push some of these shows into that.
Mm.
This is the time most people are going to watch it, and then as we get to end of November, December, people are watching Christmas movies and out with families. So maybe they're just trying to like set it all in this period of time.
Maybe they've got a lot of stuff coming out as well, though. Maybe they've got a hell of a lot, and they're just like, we don't
Yeah.
need to sit on this. We can push this out
Well, I
now.
know I know they've got the first week of November they've got an original film coming out, Finch, with Tom
Finch, yeah,
Hanks and the
that
and
looks
the,
good.
the
Yeah.
robot and the dog. And then they've got which looks really funny, the Shrink Next Door with Will Ferrell and Paul Rudd.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Same week, both of them coming out in beginning of November.
Interesting. Well,
Yeah.
obviously, I've been watching the morning show, and yeah, it's a good show. It's a good show, and it's what I like about the morning show is that it's obviously set in 2020 now, so it's moving forward with COVID, and it's using a real story, and I like that. I like that. There's
Yeah.
the news.
It's like as it happens.
Yeah, because I used to love the Newsroom. Newsroom is a great show, which I think
Yeah.
really should have been given more seasons. It only got 3 seasons, but it was obviously about TV, about a newsroom,
Yeah.
and it was all based on real events and how that covered it. And I like the fact that this is moving forward, that COVID story in the background and how it's going to develop, and I think that's really really interesting. So I've been watching that. So what's Invasion been like? Because I think it's had mixed reviews, hasn't it?
It has, and it's just tough, but I like that it's got this really unique, fresh perspective, because obviously, you and I, we've watched loads of sci-fi, so after a while it becomes somewhat derivative of itself. So you kind of like, you're looking for something fresh and different to catch your attention, and I really like this. Like, it is a bit slower moving, but I still feel like there's enough of a hook there. It's very character driven, so you can kind of follow these different characters as far as like what's going on, and then you don't actually you see it as the audience like little pieces of things. So obviously there's an invasion happening, but it's very scaled back. You only
Yeah.
see these little moments here and there of stuff that's going on. But when you're watching it through the eyes of the characters, they literally have no clue what's going on.
Yeah.
And it's basically saying how like this invasion would be like, oh, we're aliens,
Yeah,
we're
because
coming in with our ships, and
we've said this
like
loads
it's very
of times.
gradual. Yeah,
Yeah, we've said this about like we've said this about Endgame. It's like, you know, when you watch things after Endgame, there's this idea that I know it's not, it didn't really happen. I know, but there's this, but it's a really interesting like thing, because when it happened afterwards, and it's also the Mandalorians also does this really well as well. There's this idea that because we're watching this major battle, that other people watch this major battle, and it's the same with like Mandalorian, where they're like, Jedi's, what happened? It's like there's this idea that all the different planets were watching the Death Star blow up, and really it was just like
Galactic
a rumor.
television.
Yeah, it was just like a rumor. It was like a rumor that something happened, and it's the same with like Endgame. It'd be like you'd come away with that going, this bad thing happened, we all know, and everyone came back, but no one would actually truly know what happened to anyone, because it's not like the news would be covering, like, you know, helicopters are flying above like the scene in Endgame. It's just like, because we're the audience. It's like, I'd say what did that really well as well, Greenland. That did that really well as well.
I definitely got Greenland vibes from this, because again, you're not getting it from like, because that was the thing with Greenland. Like, he was, you know, obviously picked to go into the bunker and survive, and he, you know, obviously has to get alternative ways of getting it. But I mean, that's basically what happens in Invasion. It's very similar. You're not following some sort of big action hero. It's not some soldier like who's being retired and he needs to come back after all this time to help save the planet, or like some scientist whose crazy views are going to help, you know, save the planet. It's literally just you follow these people, and as the first couple of episodes are very much, at least the first three, because that's all I'm allowed to talk about right now. You just kind of see these random events of everything that's going on around the globe, and they all seem very unrelated. So the news cycle is like, oh, is this Russia? You know, is Russia hacking and things like that? And it's got people like,
do you know what?
They all seem unrelated.
That I'll have to watch that. I'm looking at the comments. Whammy Spoons is not impressed by it at all. He's basically just saying it's terrible.
There's a couple of people. I know a couple of people who it wasn't their cup of tea, but it does build gradually. That's why I'm glad they released the first three.
No, what I find really interesting about what you've just said there. Do you know, like, when you think about it, like if in 10 years' time, someone went, let's just say in 10 years' time, I honestly don't want this to happen, clearly. But let's say in 10 years' time, like, aliens have been to our planet and they'd, like, siphoned off all the natural resources and then, and there's a big battle or whatever, right? And someone turned around and said, how did no one notice the signs? How did nobody notice the floods? How did nobody notice the wildfires? How did nobody notice that something was heating up the planet? How did nobody notice that someone was manipulating the earth to make the people crazy and and to, you know, what you know what I mean? Like, they put crazy people in charge of places and resources.
Like the fall of the
like the collapse of basically the collapse of society happened, and it was all manipulated from outside, and basically that allowed the aliens to just walk in unopposed, because all the countries had like scaled back. They were so nervous about fighting each other in wars that they didn't even see that there was this omnipresence coming in, and you know what I mean, like you know, you can imagine that though, couldn't you? You can imagine someone sitting down going, how did nobody realize that because when you think about it, like when they say, like in any film, when they go, the scientists warned you, they all warned you, like, you know, Jeff Goldblum running around telling everyone that there's a countdown clock. It's like, David,
the only one with the crazy fringe shines to save the planet.
Why won't anyone listen to you, David? My David knows. Right, it was a bad impression of Jeff Goldblum's dad, or was it his dad, or was it just
that
his
wasn't
mate?
A bad impression, to be fair.
No, it wasn't his dad. Sorry, that was his mate. That was his mate. No, his dad
was his dad.
No, that was his dad. Yeah, but I've got that wasn't the voice. That was the voice of his mate who worked in with the thing. Don't go out there. His dad was more like
Doubtfire.
Yeah, his dad was more like, you schmuck. His dad was Stingo from Taxi. But anyway, but like, you know what I mean? It's like if someone turned around and went in 10 years and went, all this was being set up. This there'd been like a heat ray getting shot at the earth to heat it up, and that's why listen, I sound like a wild conspiracy to deny climate change. I'm not doing that. What I'm saying is, in terms of
it's the lizards. The lizards are heating up the planet.
Yeah, what I'm saying, it would basically, if someone turned around in 10 years and said the lizards were, you'd probably go, how did nobody notice the lizards were doing this to us? Why did we all think it was
it's literally the lizard people.
Why did we all think it was aerosol cans when it was the lizards? What are you doing? Didn't you notice the way one by one the royal family were all getting to safety? Oh, Philip's died. He's not really dead. Oh, the other one's a nonce. No, he's not. He's just getting over there. The other one's got off with an American wife. You know, one by one.
We'll just slowly evacuate the planet.
The queen. Well, they're the ones doing it because they're the lizards.
All right, this opens up a great segue. I've just started watching the show. I'm gonna do a quick review for a while though. But
Go on.
There's an animated comedy on Netflix right now called Inside Job, and essentially it basically says, what if all the conspiracy theories were true and there was like shadow government and deep state and there was actual lizards, and like you see this one episode where it's like what's that singer? Why can't I blank on her face now? The one who does Shake It Off.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Someone's screaming in the comments when you get to it. I know we did a little bit late, but yeah.
I know it is. I just want to make you sweat.
Ah, you're horrible. Anyway, her and the Queen are talking while they're in like lizard form, and she's like, "Yeah," and Shake It Off was actually about me shaking off my skin when I shed it. And basically the lizard people are in charge and trying to like negotiate with, it's like the major deep state shadow government is called Cognito Inc. And they have to do this deal and like to keep the lizard people happy and like moderate the temperature of the planet, so they like raise it 1 degree every year.
Poor Taylor
It's
Swift.
funny. It's a really, really funny show. Yeah, Taylor Swift. Thank you.
Poor Taylor Swift.
But yeah, that show is just very funny.
Anyone who's ever watched me knows that I know who is behind all this. If anyone has ever paid attention, it's the Dolphins. The Dolphins are behind it all. I mean, I've said this many times. I've gone on the record.
Have you watched the trailer? Because there's literally the general in the show is a man dolphin hybrid.
Listen, if you connect the dots, right?
You've been writing on this show.
If you connect the dots, you will know that it's the Dolphins. It literally cannot be anyone else. It's the Dolphins. And now that's why the British government have started putting poo in the water to get the dolphins. It's a.
You've heard it here first, people.
Prove me wrong, Peter Quill.
Who needs Joe Rogan?
Honestly, who needs Joe? Honestly, it's the Dolphins.
Who needs Joe Rogan?
It's the Dolphins. The Dolphins have been doing it for years, manipulating the world. This is what and what they do is they tell everyone to think it's the lizards when it's the dolphins.
The lizards are here to save us.
Now, what my worry is that the dolphins start talking to the spiders, and if that ever happens, because the spiders are like a mindless drone army. I mean, there's a fact out there that says if all the spiders could talk to each other, there's enough of them to kill us all and eat us all. If they could talk to each other. And my worry is that the dolphins start talking to the spiders, and that's it. We're finished. Because the problem that the dolphins has got at the moment is that they're not being listened to by the people who can affect change.
Wherever this goes.
I'm telling you, it's true. It's true.
It just was like a period of serious silence, listening and like, we're having this conversation.
That's true, because Stone Cold said so.
We have got to watch our backs. Yeah. This is serious stuff, people.
Listen, and they want you to turn on SeaWorld, because SeaWorld know what's going on, and they're keeping them at bay at the moment. SeaWorld.
Do you know what? I'm going to start blaming the Dolphins now for the Eternals reviews.
Honestly,
the Dolphins are trying to take down Marvel. You've heard it. They're trying to destroy. It's the one good thing we've got, and they're trying to take it down.
We'll talk about that in a bit. Also, let's just talk very quickly, because we've talked for like 30 minutes about nothing. But let's. Ted Lasso finished, and we're not going to talk about how it finished. But we were proved right. We were proved right that it would all come for the people who thought it wasn't very good. It would all come good at the end for everyone, and it did. I didn't need convincing because I loved it all the way through, but at the end, it all come good, and everything pulled together at the end, and it all worked out, and now everyone just can't wait for the third season.
I know. It was just fantastic, and yeah, no, it's set up for such a great follow-up season, because that's the thing as well. Like, you can't. I appreciate what they did, because you can't just go in and say, "Oh, it's this guy against this guy." Like, that's not how things work in life. Like, there needs to be connection and backstory there. There needs to be a reason for it, and I think they're given it. Like, that's what the show's built on, is character depth. Like, you know, we're attached to these characters, and I think you need to be emotionally invested for, you know, the story to work. Yeah, no, absolute fantastic season finale.
Yeah, it was superb.
So good.
Yeah, it was superb, and it created a nice thing now for the next one to actually get a bit of a rivalry going. So let's leave it there. So, new trailer came out today, the day of we are recording. The trailer was for Lightyear, and if anyone doesn't know, basically Lightyear is the true story of Buzz Lightyear, the man behind the toy. It's a Pixar movie.
The man behind the plastic helmet.
Yeah, he is voiced by Chris Evans, Captain America himself, and basically it traces his origins as a
space ranger.
And it looks glorious, and there's pictures, you know, you see him with his hair and his giant face and giant head. I think I'm slowly morphing into Buzz Lightyear. I honestly don't like. But it just looks so good, and I'm so happy that like they've done this. That they've I love the idea of Buzz Lightyear being based on a real character or a real person, and just saying, right, this is the story behind. You know, Buzz Lightyear. You know, like Tim Allen, the voice, that voice. But this is the real Buzz Lightyear, and this is what he went through to become. It's
almost like a weird way when you look back and you go, oh yeah, this makes sense. Like, it's like we got Toy Story was like, you know, Iron Man the toy, and then you just see him on his adventures as a toy, and then you actually go back and like, oh yeah, but now we're gonna let you watch Iron Man, and you're like, whoa.
Yeah. No, I love the concept.
The visual detail as well, like the close-ups you see of like him as a character, like not as a toy, but like as an actual envisioned character,
and his ship, and how if you look at his ship, how much it looks like the box he comes in Toy Story and all these things, and
the spacesuit as well. The spacesuit looks dead good,
and seeing somebody else in that spacesuit as well. No, it looks, and I know what I loved about it. I loved the trailer because they put Bowie in it, and obviously put Starman in it, and it gives it a bit of gravitas. And it's basically saying
it seems like a step up from like Toy Story. Like, this isn't just Toy Story. Like, we're going to other levels. We're going to cosmic levels.
Yeah, I love it. I love that. What I love about it is that Buzz Lightyear is a character that's been around for like 25 years, if not longer. And so the kids who grew up with them are now adults. Yeah. And the adults who grew up with them are now older adults. And it's like saying to them, even though it's still Pixar and it's still animation, it's just like saying, it's giving them like an element of like credit and saying like, you stuck with this toy and you love this toy. Now we're going to give you the real story of what happened. And like why we, and that'll be the interesting thing though. That will be the one interesting thing I want to see from this film. Whether there is a reference to him being a toy, like at the end, or like
okay.
Because what I mean by that is, because you got to get very meta now. Is the toy based on a movie about Buzz Lightyear, right? Or is the toy based on a real person called Buzz Lightyear that this film is about? If that makes sense, do you know what I mean?
Oh no, absolutely. Because He-Man was a toy before it was a show. And they brought up the show because they were trying to launch the toy. But certain things went the other way. There was a show and then there was a... So,
Yeah,
Following
that's
you.
what I mean. That basically that's what I'm
Toys that
saying.
made us on Netflix.
Yeah. So basically, are they? Yeah. So is this like like so? So it'll be interesting to see whether like a toy is referenced, and then you can go, yeah, that toy is based on a real guy that is like, you know, everyone thought was amazing, and therefore we made the toy back. That would be really, really interesting to see. And essentially, it was Elmer Fudd says, and it will we see like Buzz versus Emperor Zorg. That'll be interesting. And also Toy Story 1 prequel, but is it a prequel because is Toy Story? Because this is where it gets really confusing. It's like, is it?
I remember
set?
once we had a 40-minute discussion about Sonic the Hedgehog.
Listen, Dolphins, Queen, Lizard.
It all goes.
And it goes. No, but like, yeah. So like, is it? Yeah. So like, yeah. So what I mean, I'll tell you how I mean is like, so if we went back to the first ever Toy Story, if things were different, and if Andy had turned on the TV, whether this would be on the TV in his world, or would the real dude in the ship flying to space, would he be on the TV? That's the question. That's the question.
I can't wait to find out.
I can't wait to find out.
It just looks so good.
And the
So
yeah,
good.
yeah. It'd be dead interesting.
I also do love the fact that they recast, because they're not just like, oh yeah, it's Tim Allen. Like they've basically said, no, like, because again, this was a like essentially whichever way you look at it, like what came first, this still by premise exists as a movie as well in the Toy Story universe. In some facet, this exists in the Toy Story universe, that people have seen it either before or after. This has already come out in their world. They've seen it. And and that's why I like the fact that it's like, yeah, it's not Tim Allen.
But is he though? But is he though? That's the question though. Is he though? Or is he just is it just a film on TV in the Toy Story world? That's the point. Which one is it? Because really, if you think about it, it shouldn't really be real in the Toy Story world, because the technology is far too ahead of the time for when Toy Story 1 comes out. So, and that toy is based on that guy, and that technology is far too advanced. So that's the only lingering thing. I want it to be real.
So maybe it kind of maybe it follows our timeline. So it's kind of like, oh, you remember that toy you loved when you were a kid? We've gone and made a movie at it. So it kind of still follows similar timelines.
No,
you know what I mean?
I get that. Then that means that the man's not real, and he is just a and therefore that this film has to exist within Toy Story time as well. And the dolphins control it all.
And the dolphins. But at least that you can have some sort of reference to toys or something, you know, some meta reference that slides in there quite nicely, because then it's a nod to us as an audience, but the Toy Story audience.
Okay, so if he's real, what does that mean for Woody?
I saw a horrible thing that's saying someone, I mean, obviously it was a parody, it was a joke, and saying we're gonna get like a James Corden inspired like Woody a series adaptation. I was like, where's the window? I need to jump out.
We'll find out, but listen, it looks cool, and we'll find out how it evolves.
Hey, and fair play, you know, obviously Pixar sending us to the cinema, because I think when we watched this was the Disney shareholder day. I think it was back last year in December 10th. I assumed back then this was going to be a Disney Plus movie.
No, I never ever thought for 1 minute.
Well, because most of the stuff they were premiering that day was Disney Plus stuff.
No, not for 1 minute did I. This is a huge.
I didn't expect it to be this big, though.
No,
I didn't think it would be this big.
I sometimes debate why I even talk to you. No, I always thought this is going to be huge. This is going to be huge.
This is going to be one of the films that all the kids go to see.
Buzz Lightyear.
Absolute family sellout.
Buzz Lightyear is one of the most famous characters on Earth. Like, he is, like, now, if you were to put, like like, Buzz Lightyear is one of the most recognizable faces on Earth, and this will blow people's minds when they're like, no, this, like, it's like I put it on before. My missus was like, she couldn't get it. Like, she's like, they're making a film about the guy who the toy was based on. I went, well, sort of, yeah. And she's like, that is nuts, because it's like, because that's
you see with his helmet and his space thing on as well.
That's how like, that's the world we live in now. That's how, like, meta we are about things. Is that?
Yeah.
Oh, I think this is going to be huge. I genuinely think this is going to be a huge event.
After seeing the trailer, I'm fully on board. I can absolutely see it.
Because it gives us everything we want. It creates it creates a Toy Story like universe. Like, it creates like a cinematic universe. It's mad. What if
it kind of begs the question: if this is massively successful, what next?
What if? Yeah, what next? What if Toy Story 1, 2, 3, and 4 are actually Buzz Lightyear? He was caught by Zurg, and he matrixed them, and he basically put him on, froze him.
Wouldn't that be mad at the end of the movie?
And he basically, like, puts him into status, and to keep his mind going, he makes him feel like he's a toy, and that's why Buzz is always a little bit.
But he thinks he's real, and he's a space ranger.
That's why when Buzz wakes up in the first one, he thinks he's real, and he's like, "No, I'm real," because 1 minute he is real, and then the next minute he's a toy, and his mind is about to blow up, and it's like, no, you're a toy. And Woody, after all this time, is actually the bad guy, and Woody is convinced him that he's a toy, and Buzz, he's waiting for Zorg, and Woody all this time has been the layers of it.
And he put Emperor Zurg in as a joke.
Woody
as
is an agent.
Self-referencing.
Woody is an agent of Zurg. He has basically been in there all the time to convince him that he's not a real person, and to take him on adventures. And in Toy Story 4, basically fucked off on him and basically went, right, I'm out of here. And the fella who was playing Woody just basically got the thing out the back of his head, got off, and went home for his tea that night.
That was just a week. That was his first week.
That is dark. If that turns out,
you'd never go back. You'd never be able to go back to the original Toy Stories. Be like, this is so messed up.
That's Toy Story After Dark. That stuff. That is Toy Story After Dark. That is dark. Yeah. This is just torture. Toy Story 1 to 4 has just been torture of a real man, who is being under torture. And like I tell you what it's like in Captain Marvel, when they catch her and they're going through like her memories. This is what they are literally. They've put him under. They don't want to kill him because it caused too many problems. So they've basically tortured him by pretending that he's a toy. And Woody is the man behind. Like, Woody is just Zurg, really.
Well, I was going to say
layers.
It's like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., where they've got the framework, but they actually lived those lives and they believed it in their head. So when they come out, they're like, "Whoa!"
Buzz is gonna need a lobotomy.
Cracked it open. I don't know where we go from there.
Literally,
that's peak.
When Buzz at the end of 4 gets off,
he's got more.
That's literally like that's literally him dying. That's literally because that's his story's finished now. Like, he's gone. If there was ever a Toy Story 5, it'd just be Woody and Bo Peep.
So like the simulation's just reached its inevitable stopping point.
Basically, that's the end of it. That's just the end of it. They've said to, oh, you going? Yeah, you go there. I'm gonna go on and continue my events. Basically, they were just killing him at the end there. And we didn't know. Like, he was
drove
dead.
off. It's Free Guy. He drives off, and the simulation ends and crashes.
He's dead. Yeah, he's dead. They just killed him. They just basically, the simulation has now ended, and it's
no more juice in the server.
It's dark.
Your childhood dreams are a lie, people.
It's dark. This feels very, very dark. Torture. Yeah. You thought waterboarding was bad. This is worse. This is worse.
Yeah.
No, for number one, they turn
Go back and watch Toy Story 3 and you'll be traumatized all over again.
Number one, they make you a toy. Number 2, they give you Tim Allen's voice. It's Jesus Christ, Jesus Christ. Basically, bad times. Let's move on because between Dolphins and Buzz, it could be a long night. So it was DC fandom a couple of weeks ago. We got our first look at The Flash. We got another look at the Batman trailer. We got a look at Black Adam, very short clip. We got a little bit of Peacemaker. Let's just so Peacemaker, yeah, it looks funny, sound. I'll be honest, I'm not really arsed, but yeah, listen, this looks fine.
I was gonna say, did we ever talk about? Did you watch Suicide Squad?
Yeah.
Okay.
I watched it. Yeah. No, I liked it.
I don't remember us talking.
No, I don't know. Suicide Squad's fine. It's much better than the first one. But it's not Guardians of the Galaxy. It's trying really hard to be Guardians of the Galaxy, but it ain't Guardians of the Galaxy. And I liked it, but I liked it, but it's not Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah.
So
it's definitely it's James Gunn. It's got it written
of course it is.
all over. Yeah.
But
I
go on.
No, I was going to say,
it's desperately
really
trying to
really
find the characters, isn't it?
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, exactly.
It's trying to find those characters.
And that's the thing as well. It's interesting that of all the characters from that particular movie that they've led in with Peacemaker, because obviously by the end of it, like, he's one of the ones you don't like. You know what I mean? He is noticeably, a bit of an a-hole.
He's a dick.
Yeah. Giant penis.
Yeah.
So, yeah, no, I found it interesting. That's where they're going with it, and that's God bless you. That's all right.
Okay.
It's interesting that that's the character that they've chosen to go along with the series, but he is an interesting character just because of his whole mentality of like, I'll do anything for peace, including just murdering everyone. Like,
murder everyone.
And it's John Cena as well. Yeah. So I love watching John Cena. He's funny, but it'll be interesting to see where they take the show if they've got more material left. And James Gunn seems very excited about it. So guess we'll have to wait and see.
No, that's fine. Black Adam obviously has been talked about for so long. The Rock obviously
7 years or something, 8 years.
Loads of pictures of him like working out, looking cool. And to be fair, right, it's not a character I'm massively familiar with, but
yeah,
the clip looked amazing. But the only thing I would say about the clip is that it was a character that you just went, yeah, like, who can stop this dude? And that's the thing. It's like, well, he came down, he grabbed some fella, he electrocuted him till he was dust. Where do we go from there?
Gotcha.
Where's his humanity?
Yeah, well, and that's the interesting thing. His backstory is really good. It was really good. It's going to be along the lines of kind of like how villains are going lately. You know what I mean? Like he starts out a villain. When he got pushed into that situation, life made him a villain. But I think it'll show like he always had those elements of who he was there. And it's going to be interesting because it's set in the past as well. You know what I mean? It's going to be set a while. We got the backstory of Black Adam when we watch Shazam.
I haven't seen Shazam, so don't ruin it for me.
Okay, well, in Shazam, they kind of tell... It's very brief, but they give you the basic background of what happens when someone gets power that doesn't deserve it or uses it for bad.
I will watch Shazam. I've been meaning to for ages. I just haven't cared enough.
Well, it's interesting though, because like even within the comics, like Shazam versus Black Adam has always been very contrasting because obviously you've got Billy Batson, who's a kid who can change into this adult superhero, versus Black Adam is just a very dark character. But from what I've heard, and I think it's been reported in the publications, we're going to see the Justice Society of America which is a version of obviously the
Yeah.
Justice League. So I think we were getting Atom Smasher,
And the rest of them.
Hawk, Hawk. You're gonna get Hawkman, and I forget some of the others. I'm not as familiar with the Justice Society, but I know there's
Dave, Steve, and Tracy. That's them.
There you go. Oh, and Bob. Don't forget Bob.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it looks good, but it looks like it's going to be a darker one. So it'll be interesting. But I mean, The Rock has been basically petitioning to play this role for so long. Like, he's been begging to play this role. So I don't think he would have accepted anything less than like an amazing film. And it, from the short clip, it looked really, really good.
No, looks really good. But yeah, I'm not too au fait with the character. I'll have to have a little look. But and as you said, he's put everything into becoming this character.
He's very much like a Doom. He's very much like a Doom character.
Yeah. So I mean, obviously there's a lot revealed on the night, and you know, lots and lots of clips. And what I did really think was really good was HBO Max is absorbing everything, which is really good. So you know, things like is it Pennyworth? Is it
Pennyworth?
Yeah, which is which was on it. Now that's getting absorbed into HBO Max. All like
and Titans,
all the
Harley
side.
Quinn.
Everything's getting absorbed, so they are really going for it, and I think that's really good. I think that's a really
absolutely.
thing.
I think that we said that in the past, like, because there's a show I loved on Cinemax called Warrior, which not as many people have seen it, because, like, again, when you're messing about with streaming services, like, how many do you get? Well, now it's on HBO Max. It's kind of like, okay, I've got one, I can watch them all. Like, that's the platform that I need. It's like having Netflix, you get loads. It just makes the most sense.
Yeah, and of course, and now it's like, it gives them the home, so that if they do want to, obviously there's like a new Batman thing show coming out. It gives everyone a home, like Disney Plus is for Marvel. It gives everyone a home, and it's not all split apart. Like when obviously what happened when they got that, and they said all those other shows was all those other shows were going to get cancelled, and Daredevil and stuff like that were going to get cancelled. It was also they could obviously bring them in. So it makes a lot of sense, and I think that's really, really smart. Obviously, the two big trailers were The Flash, which a very awkward intro. Like, just that lad is bizarre. Like, when you say, it is the teaser trailer, he was like, we haven't got this, and we haven't got that, and he was dressed as a gimp. I was like, why would anyone have got you to present this? Because it's so uncomfortable.
I was going to say, like, I'm surprised they didn't just have Andy Muschietti come out and kind of talk about it. Like, he's the director, he's the one with the vision and the plan for it all that brings it all together.
He's a very awkward gentleman, but anyway, it was a teaser, because it had a beginning and an end and a narration. It wasn't just a series of clips. It was a teaser trailer. And obviously Keaton narrated it, and straight away it felt like, Batman 89, Wayne Manor, the car, which was obviously underneath the sheet. It gives us two flashes. Barry's mum was in it. It's basically telling you it's Flashpoint, and it's got Batman 89 in it, so it's got Keaton's Batman in. So I think everyone is really excited by that, because it will restart the DC universe. It will reset a lot of things that need resetting naturally, because anyone who's aware of like the Flashpoint knows that, understands what happened in that an alternative Earth, because Barry changed the past and stopped his mum from being killed and stuff like that. So it does look good, and hopefully it lives up to what we all hope from it.
Well, and it's going to be curious to see kind of what spins off of this and how they connect it all together, because moving forward, I've heard a couple of rumors just this past week, and rumors for a while as well. But there's going to be a Green Lantern show. I think it's called Green Lantern Corps, coming to HBO Max. They're doing a Batgirl show. The Batman is getting like 3 different spin-offs. It's a Gotham PD one. Catwoman's room. I don't think it's ever officially been announced. And then Penguin's getting his own show as well. And they really are expanding out and leveraging HBO Max. Blue Beetle is getting his own HBO Max movie with the kid from Cobra Kai. So they're leaning into kind of a couple of different avenues here. But like I said, I'm curious to see, is this all based off of this jump start now from Flashpoint and saying they're connected, or is the Matt Reeves stuff just going to be over here and it's just Matt Reeves stuff? Like, I'm curious, and I think DC works best sometimes when it's separate in separate universes.
Yeah, because
you don't. Yeah.
No, but what you've got to do is, and we've said this loads of times, you've just got to tell people that it's a separate universe. And once you tell people and say, and that's going to be the thing with Marvel moving forward, is just stressing what is what. If you don't do that, if you don't set out rules, then nobody knows. But once you set out the rules, it's dead easy. If you say the Batman movie is in World 2 and everything else is in World 1, then you're fine. If people will understand. Maybe Buzz Lightyear's in World 1, and I don't know.
Well, I was going to say, it's just like Star Wars. When you go to watch Star Wars, you go to certain planets and they say, "Oh, it's Tatooine." All right, I have a preconceived idea based on prior things of what happens in Tatooine. So if you name we're like everywhere's going multiverse now. If you name your multiverse, you're like, all right, as far as I know from what I've watched to this point, this multiverse is these people.
So that looks really, really good, and obviously it was a very, very short clip. The Batman, we got a full proper trailer for the Batman. I was left a little bit disappointed, I must admit, and I tell you why. I really loved the first trailer. It gave a lot more narrative to the film. Serial killer going round, trying to deal with whatever was going on, these killings. I just felt this one was just like dead loose. I'm just like going, here's Batman being angry, here's Batman fighting, here's Batman doing this.
Yeah.
It started off with the music, and then the music changed into another music, and it didn't really give itself like any time to breathe. And I know it's only a trailer, but I felt quite let down by it. I thought it just to me looked like a lot of random things just thrown in together.
Well, and do you know what's weird? Because usually, like, I don't know how many people looked into the theory of trailers, but typically you've got teaser trailer, then you've got a first trailer, and obviously, second final trailer, whatever you want to call it. But usually that first big trailer is more like what we've got with the second Batman. It's just a series of clips because they haven't really finished everything off, so they just want to show you some really cool things and get you excited about it. Where once you get into the second trailer, they start to kind of reveal more about what's going on with the plot, so you can get an idea of why do I want to go watch this. Like, it looks like it's got cool stuff, but what's the point? What's the whole thing about? And that second trailer usually reveals something about what's going on, but it feels like they've done it in reverse order.
Yeah.
And if you do that in reverse order, then the only place you can really go from there is given a slight bit more detail the next time around. And
I just thought it was really loud and just give us loads of clips of like
if those trailers were switched around, I think everyone would be like, whoa, the reverse trailer and the second trailer would be like, whoa.
Yeah, because it was like you only got a tiny bit of the Riddler, and he's like the main like antagonist. And obviously you got a few moments with Catwoman and Batman and interacting, and you got a little bit of Penguin and seeing that he's like, obviously like a mob boss.
Yeah.
But I honestly I watched it, and the first time I watched it, I was just like, when you're really excited for something and then you feel really like disappointed, and I was just like, what's that?
Because the first trailer really did blow socks off. I mean, it was a great trailer. Like when everyone saw it, like it was like, holy crap! Like this really is a new version of Batman. Like this is something different we haven't seen for quite a while. But this second trailer, I mean, I think that visually, like it looks like a stunning movie. Like obviously we got, the images of Liverpool mixed in there, like, and it looks phenomenal. Looks so good, and you get that silhouette of Batman and Catwoman. But again, I couldn't tell you on that second trailer what's going on.
No.
And look,
No.
I don't need to as well. We've complained about trailers giving away too much.
Yeah, of course.
But it's it's a tightrope you've got to walk.
But a trailer is supposed to have, like you just said, a little bit of narrative to it, just to
it's the elevator pitch.
Yeah.
You're in an elevator. I'm making a movie. What's it about? Boom. This is what it's about.
Listen, the action looks great in it. The Batmobile at the end looks great. But it was just him going around punching people and having a couple of conversations with Catwoman, and I thought like it was literally a year today since they'd been filming in Liverpool when it came out, and I just thought this is bizarre. Like this is like it's coming out in March, and
I wonder if they've got one more trailer up their sleeves.
I hope they do.
Closer to like when the movie's out, maybe January, February, to get people hyped. Like this is the last trailer, and then it's just all the short promo online clips at like 30 seconds to a minute or something like that, just to get people hyped. Like this might have just been like, well, let's just show them a collection of cool clips because we don't want to reveal too much, but we have to have something for DC fandom because
maybe
HBO is forcing us to show something. So maybe it's just this weird, being caught in the lag.
Maybe. I just didn't. I've watched it and I think it's a cool trailer, but it's not a good trailer, if that makes sense, because it doesn't really tell you what's going on in any kind of that apart from this is a fella who goes around battering people. Well, you know what? I've known that for about 40 years. So, do you know what I mean? Maybe it's like, maybe that's half the problem. It's like, I've known this for a while. He likes going around knocking shite out of people. And so listen, it'll be fine. It'll be a good movie, and I look forward to it. So that was the Batman. Let's get into some Marvel stuff. So the Eternals is coming out next week. A lot of mixed reviews about it so far. A lot of them are just like, it's a 7 out of 10 movie. It might have bit off more than it can chew. You've obviously got that level of Marvel standard. It's obviously my worry for this film is because it's a completely new cast of characters and there's a lot of them. I think some people might think that this is like, oh, well, I don't have to go and see this because this has got nothing to do with the MCU. And I know there's some mild references to the MCU, but I think it might suffer because of that. I think it might suffer that people just go, I don't really need to know about this. It's Spider-Man's around the corner, Doctor Strange, blah blah blah. That's what I need to worry about. I don't.
And Marvel is going to suffer with that though moving forward because they're only bringing up more and more things. So at some point you're going to suffer other Marvel movie interest cannibalizing your other movies. Like it's what happens with Ant-Man. Like people never seem to hold Ant-Man in high. I love Ant-Man. It's such a fantastic film.
But that's an interesting thing you bring up there because the thing about the Eternals is we were having a conversation a couple of days ago about this, is the Eternals are going to be really important moving forward. And so, I went to see Shang-Chi and that's really important, and he's obviously a character that's going to move forward with the MCU. It's just that because there's so many of them, I don't think people can picture them, all of them being in there. Now, they mightn't all be in there. They all might just I don't know. They all might. This film is going to introduce the cosmic world to the MCU. It's going to show you another part of it. And what we've learned from Marvel films is that, rightly or wrongly, it's not always about what happens in the film and whether that stuff services the film. It's all like a big encyclopedia that you have to know. So, because there might be stuff from this film that you don't understand in another film because you didn't watch this film. And that's the Marvel way. And it's like, I've always said the only rule you need about Marvel films is you have to watch them. That's the only rule. Like, it doesn't matter. You've got to watch them. You've got to watch everything. So it's going to be that interesting. It's going to be interesting to see what the box office is like. I don't think the box office is going to be massive on this. I think it's going to be like...
No.
It's going to be like a lot of the other ones. I think it's going to be like Black Widow numbers. I really do. I just don't think it's going to be huge because I don't think it's a lot. I don't think it can be a huge event because it is the opposite of the Avengers. the Avengers, they built it up. They introduced to one character one at a time, and this is the introducing you to so many. And I think that might be something that puts people off. So I'm going to be really interested to see how that does. And also, a lot of the actors in them, they're not really household names. There's no one to really pull you in.
Salma Hayek, Angelina Jolie,
but she's like, I don't think she's not front and center. You can clearly tell she's only a bit part in this film, and she is there to pull you in. But I don't know whether I don't know. It's just going to be interesting. Of course, I'll be going to see it, and I'm looking forward to see it because I'm finding out all that connective tissue. But it's gonna. I'm not really bothered about what the people are saying about it at the moment, because I do know it'll be a solid Marvel film, which a lot of the first time you see characters are like that anyway. But like you just said about Ant-Man, I love the Ant-Man films, and if you don't know about, like, Ant-Man's one of the most important characters in the MCU, clearly. So
yeah. Well, and that's the thing. What I've heard with this, like, so far with the early reviews, like, it's a little slow. It's heavy dialogue. It's very, like, a lot of what the terms I was hearing was it's very dense, because they are laying the groundwork for a lot of stuff going on. People are wondering about, like, how X-Men are going to come in.
Yeah.
There's a chance they're laying some groundwork through this, like the Celestials, like all of that stuff. It's all built in it. But for me, that's why I always love the comics of the Eternals, because it does lay this massive cosmic backstory that kind of gives you an idea, like, oh yeah, like everything going on planet Earth is just one little tiny thing amongst a cosmos of powered beings that exist out in the world. So it's just interesting because it opens up doors for other stories down the line, or other things you can explore as far as, plots and characters and things like that. I mean, let's not forget, Thanos is an Eternal as well. He is part of this race of beings. He has deviant genetics, but he is an Eternal. So you can explore that in other movies going forward as well.
No, I think a lot of really important stuff will come out of this film, and I do think the audience is intelligent enough to understand that. We've had over 10 years to understand. Well, that's the thing as well. Go on. No, I was just going to say, it's just that the timing of it is not great, because we still live in a COVID world, and I don't know whether it's got enough going for it to get people to leave the house. That maybe other franchises do.
Well, and it's hard as well, because, like, everyone was that excited about Shang-Chi. Like, this one they don't know as much about, because I think there was enough there with Shang-Chi, even if you don't know him as a character, like, oh yeah, this looks like a fun, energetic movie. Like, this one they haven't revealed much to pull you in.
See, I've heard that it's a very talky film. Whereas Shang-Chi, you just looked at the trailers, and Shang-Chi's amazing. I think it comes out on Disney Plus in, like, is it a week Friday it comes out?
Yeah.
Disney Plus. So you're going to get, if you haven't seen it, you get to see it, and now everyone will be, I honestly, when that comes out a week on Friday, everyone will be like, you will see the buzz about it, because it will be like another release.
Oh, it's like a second round of buzz from...
Second release. So,
but then it's tough as well, because, I mean, you mentioned at the top of the conversation, you've got Eternals coming out where people don't know about it. There's no connectivity. They haven't done, like, post-credit scenes. They haven't done cameos from any. There's nothing to say why should...
There's two... No, sorry for the...
featuring the Eternals. Why should I care about them? How do we get here? Yeah. And then off the back of that, you've also got Spider-Man No Way Home coming, when there's, multiverse impacts. We saw images getting released today of Doc Ock grabbing Peter Parker, and then you've got Multiverse of Madness in.
Hang on, hold your horses. But what they're doing is, I think they're going to rely on all. The embargo for the reviews come out like ages before the film, so that's normally they feel confident about it, and they're probably looking for good word of mouth, which I imagine it'll get. Let's just jump into a couple of Marvel stories. So these are just random Marvel stories that I just want to jump through out there. Bill Murray is rumored to be appearing in Ant-Man Quantumanium, which is going to be amazing. I want him to be a Kang variant. That would be amazing. or he plays himself.
A Kang variant pretending to be Bill Murray.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like he's Bill Murray, but he reveals that actually he's a Kang variant.
Yeah,
and
I love it.
He might also be Buzz Lightyear. So that's a rumor.
He's trying to save us from the Dolphins.
That's really, really interesting if that's true. Because I love Bill Murray. He's like, he's probably the greatest human being on earth. I'm putting him up there. I love Bill Murray. He's amazing.
He's fantastic. He's so funny.
He is fantastic. Another story this week is that Loki season 2 will pick up exactly where it finished in season 1. So there you go.
I think that makes sense. I think that made sense. Any kind of weird time jumps, you'd still have to go back and explain. So I think it keeps the buzz of that opening episode, season 2, like, holy crap, like, what now?
Yeah. Yeah, because that finished on such a interesting, like, just moment that you don't want that ruined. You want that to go back to that. So that's another.
Yeah, there's so many good stories you can explore there. Yeah.
So one of the stories from last. This is going to be the last Marvel story now, but I mean, literally last story. So basically, what happened last week? It was revealed that all the Disney films all the Marvel films, are moving by one like window. So the next film after Spider-Man is going to be Doctor Strange, and it's now in May. And then Thor: Love and Thunder is going to be in July, I think it is. And it's rumored that the reason why is because there's Doctor Strange reshoots, which there are, but they are big reshoots, like really, like maybe a couple of months of reshoots, which means that they might be doing a major story change. But a lot of people see that as being a bad thing, but it might just be because they want to really amplify something that they've thought of. And there's rumours that it's got to do something with Scarlet Witch, and they want to amplify her story and really, really change something in the film.
Well, especially off the back of WandaVision as well. Like, when some of this was getting scripted and wrote out originally, they didn't have the reaction of what was going on with WandaVision. Now they've got it, and they're like, we can do more with this. Like, we were a little too early. And that's tough when you try and jam this stuff together. But we've always said Disney and Marvel always schedule in reshoot time. Like, it's never just like, shit, we need to do reschedule. We need to do reshoots, and then you're trying to clamber to get everyone back. They always set it out and say, no, just in case we need it. You're not going on to other projects. You're not doing anything else. We've just got you just in case. And it sounds like this is a case where they've gone, we think we can do more of this.
So everything's moving. Everything's moving like 3 months or 2 months, whatever. So Doctor Strange is moving. Obviously, Spider-Man, we're getting more and more information about it. It's going to be huge. It's like they're calling it Spider-Man Endgame, essentially. And anything, they're like basically saying that this is like the last Spider-Man film. It's not. But what they're saying is that this is the last Spider-Man film of his like adolescence, basically. This is the last. This is a trilogy, and then if they do more, that'll be a different trilogy, and obviously that trilogy.
I was going to say probably a different director as well, because John Watts after this, Watts is moving on to directing Fantastic Four as well. So some of them might move on to other projects, but you'll still have Tom Holland, and
but of
in
course,
that like MCU world.
And of course, any more Spider-Man films will involve Spider-Man characters like the ones, we are about to hit, aren't we? We're about to get the mix. We're about to get,
Spider-Geddon is on the horizon.
We're about to get all them. We're about to get, into the Spider-Verse, but into the MCU.
Or some sort of explanation of how they can interact and cross over.
And he'll cross over and they'll cross over, I imagine, and that'll be what'll happen. And that's not spoilers anyway, because I haven't seen Venom 2, so I know nothing about Venom 2, so I'm not. That's what's going to happen. One of the points of what's happening in the MCU and multiverses is to create that dynamic, clearly. So they're going to go with it. So it's going to be huge. And one of the things, apparently, that's one of the other things that has been, the groundwork has been laid in Doctor Strange is the Illuminati, which is a higher group of Avengers, essentially.
Yeah.
With X-Men even characters from Black Bull, isn't it? From the
Black Bolt.
Black Bolt, sorry, from
Yeah.
the
Inhumans.
The Inhumans, and you had you had Iron Man, Doctor Strange, Black Bolt,
Reed Richards, Professor X,
and Professor X, yeah. And there's
and then I think there's variants like I think T'Challa's being in it at one point, and Hank McCoy, who plays the Beast, is being in it.
So basically, it's like the people who think they're really, really intelligent amongst
high IQ people,
the higher one, and basically it's a secret society within the Avengers. So there's talk that Doctor Strange is going to create that, because basically what the basic premise is that because Wanda, I imagine, will be some kind of bad guy in it, but obviously she'll come back. It's that thing of like, which is, it's almost like it's policing yourself. It's who
watches the Watchmen.
It is. It's that thing that we've seen in the last few. It's like who's policing them, and they're going to need a higher power or higher powers to police them. So it's going to be really interesting. There's talk that
because it's interesting as well, because we've also got the contrast there of like they try to do it sounds bad, but the human way, as far as like the Sokovia Accords and policing them, but based on states. But it sounds like they're basically moving away and say we have to police ourselves.
Yeah, so that's really interesting, because that means there's actually rumors that one of a long-standing X-Men character will be in Doctor Strange, like a McAvoy or
Patrick Stewart.
Or Patrick Stewart might be in it, because obviously it's the multiverse, so they can bring one in. And there's actual talk that might be happening, and they will become part of the Illuminati, because of course we've got no Tony Stark and all. So we're quite.
And I think McAvoy's expressed interest in wanting to come back and wanting to do it again, like wanting to be under some good leadership as far as what the character could do.
So that's really, really interesting that we might get that, and what that actually leads on to is there's been a lot of talk about a solo Hulk film as well, and obviously we know that there's a problem with the rights at Universal held the rights, and Marvel weren't interested. So obviously you had Planet Hulk, class, very famous comic.
Amazing
where basically the Illuminati say the Hulk's too dangerous, and they fire him into space, and he ends up on a planet. He ends up on Sakaar, doesn't he?
He does, yeah. Yeah,
and
Sakaar.
That's basically what happens in the end of Age of Ultron. Obviously, he wasn't sent away; he went on his own, and then you've got Thor Ragnarok, and that's his journey, isn't it? His journey is Age of Ultron.
They adapted it really well, actually.
What they did is they give him like a 3-film arc, because they knew they couldn't give him his own film. So you got Age of Ultron, you got Thor Ragnarok, and then you've got essentially the two Avengers 3 and 4 to play with that arc, because you couldn't give him his own film. So that really is Planet Hulk when he went, and obviously he fought Thor. World War Hulk is when he comes back and seeks revenge on the Illuminati. So
because something bad happens at the end, obviously, for Planet Hulk.
Now, what's really interesting is the Illuminati didn't send them there, so that's one thing. We don't have an Illuminati. He's come back, and he's
Professor Hulk.
Yeah, this is where I have to be careful now, and I can't say no more. This is where I've got to be very careful, and I can't say anything.
I'm coming back to that when we finish to see what you're going to say.
No, I can't say anything about that. I can't say. But the point being is, the last time we seen him, Professor Hulk, obviously his arm is goosed. He's just lost a friend, very close friend, but he's not angry at the world. He sends Cap back, and he's just mourning. He's getting on with his life. We're supposed to be seeing him in She-Hulk, which will be really interesting.
Basically, how she gets her origin story.
So it's gonna be really, really blood transfusion. It's gonna be really, really interesting to find out how we go from the Hulk we've got now, who's very much at peace with himself, to a Hulk that wants to wreak revenge on the Illuminati, if that's who they want to wreak revenge on, for something that we don't know. So it's if that's true, and we might just be putting two and two together because we've got the Illuminati rumors and we've got the Hulk rumors. That is really, really interesting because really, if you think about it, if the Hulk is going to have his own film, it has to be something dramatic. It almost has to be that he's the bad guy because there aren't any good guys. There aren't any like bad guys he can fight as a good guy. We've seen that in the Hulk film, like the Edward Norton Hulk film. It's really hard to get him to fight someone who's at the same size and caliber, and it's almost like he has to be the bad guy. And it's going to be really interesting to see where that goes if it goes like that.
I mean, there's some there. It's hard to believe, but there's some very good Hulk comics out there, and you'd be like, yeah, but he's just a big green smashing thing. But like, you know, you've got Planet Hulk, World War Hulk, you've got Red Hulk, which the Red Hulk is a fantastic character, and the whole mystery around who he is and you know where that all comes from is really, really good. But in one of the more recent stories that Al Ewing wrote was Immortal Hulk, and in Immortal Hulk they actually explore the fact that Bruce Banner actually suffers from I forget the exact term of it, but he's got a dissociative identity disorder, and he actually like rather than having like split personalities like normal people experience it, because he is the Hulk, his alter egos are different versions of the Hulk. So you've got like the original Hulk, like Hulk Smash is like his inner Hulk child. You've got like the Professor Hulk. And basically there's these different versions. There's a Planet Hulk version, which was like, I think they call him the Champion. And there's a version of Hulk at the end they call the Devil Hulk.
So it's like split.
Yeah. So I don't know if like they do explore something like that where he's battling himself almost.
Yeah.
So he is both the hero and the villain. And then you've got Bruce Banner obviously mixed around in there as well. But I mean, the Hulk has also got some fantastic other villains that exist out there. Like you've got the Leader. You know, we saw that in you know the MCU 2008 Hulk.
We did.
You've got the Abomination. You've got A-Bomb, Red Hulk, She-Hulk, She-Hulk. Like
I can't wait till you watch Shang-Chi and see the Abomination in that.
Right.
Like no, honestly, like that's not a spoiler. You've seen him in the trailer. I'm just saying, I can't wait till you see the Abomination in. It's really interesting. It's really interesting. So
I'm looking forward to it.
No, I think a lot of people will be like, "Oh, this is," because it's really good. It's really, really good. And the after credits are really, really good. Yeah, I it's gonna be. I think you have to make him the bad guy. I think you have to make him the antagonist, and then bring him back from that. And as I said, that loops in the Illuminati, and also it gives, because it's not on the slate yet, and it would probably be like maybe 3 years down the line. It gives the Illuminati. See, what I like about this is if they do the Illuminati, that really is that's something
that's Secret Wars.
But what
the Illuminati leads into Secret Wars.
That's what I'm saying. But what that is though is that's something to build on in like, not like, you know, not talking about like main story, but that's where in the first lot of Avengers films where you were getting the post-trailer stuff, the post-credit stuff and stuff, and you were building something, and you were doing the whole like go, you know, at the end of Iron Man 2, and you're going to you're going to New Mexico to find like Thor's hammer and stuff. That's that kind of stuff that you can start building. Like it's like Doctor Strange walking into standing outside a big mansion in upstate New York, and just like almost like winking to the camera, going, you know where I am. So I think it's that, you know, it's that thing of like you're building a secret. You're not actually doing it in the film. You're just doing it in the post credits. And it might.
I was going to say, and some of the imagery they used in the comics originally was fantastic. Like you just see like, and it's in the comics version, it's Reed Richards who's like the head of the table, but he walks into this like dark room. And you know, you see him talking to some people, and then all of a sudden it shows you this mafia-esque table with the heads of like the superpowered families. Like,
well, put it this way.
Shit,
put it this way. what if at the end of Fantastic Four, you basically get the same scene that you got at the end of Iron Man 1. And instead of Nick Fury standing there saying, putting a team together sort of thing, it's Doctor Strange or it's McAvoy or whoever. Do you know what I mean? Like it's basically
getting chills.
The parallel is there of like,
yeah.
we're not building the Avengers, we're building the Illuminati, and you are going to be one of the top guys and that's what's going to link. That's what's going to bring the Fantastic Four into the MCU, because I think that film will be very much standalone. In they'll know they're out there, but they've never had anything to do with them, and they'll probably get their powers during the film maybe, and at the end it's like, no, we don't want you to be an Avenger, my friend. No, you're an Illuminati. We want you to be more important than that. So
I was going to say, as you kind of build into the Marvel superhero world more, you almost get those like, it sounds bad and it might come across not in how I'm intending it, but almost becomes like a militaristic like levels as far as like where you are in the superhero community. Like the Avengers are more of a foot soldier group, to be honest. And you get the intelligence as you go up.
It becomes a hierarchy. It becomes a class war. It becomes to the point where some people are like, well, hang on, what are we? Because we've talked about this before, where because now you've got like Captain Marvels of the world and things like that, the people who used to feel like they were huge members just feel like very earthly now, and actually, what are they good for? Whereas you're now getting these huge, like, real powerful Avengers out there, and like, so the other members will be like questioning, well, what's the point of me? And then you'll have people who are like Daredevil going, well, what is the point of me? Like, you know what I mean? But that gives you a scope then to fight different fights, very much like Daredevil was. Like, you know, like when Daredevil came out, and it was like, well, who's going to come down here? Tony Stark's not going to come down here, is he, and start fighting? This is what we have to do. So,
it's really
looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's really exciting. I mean, not only this, I mean, you know, we've obviously just heard recently that, you know, Will Poulter's going to be Adam Warlock in Guardians of the Galaxy 3, and they're going to be doing spin-offs to WandaVision and spin-offs to Shang-Chi and spin-offs to what's it called? The Black Panther and Wakanda and stuff like that. And there's all these different things rumored to be going about. I mean, we had one today that they're going to be doing a movie for Nova and all this stuff. And I mean, we're not that far away from Disney Plus Day, so I'm hoping we get some really good news, some exciting news as far as like casting, maybe a couple of trailers and stuff like that. Because I mean, Moon Knight's been filming for a while, so you know, like we've got She-Hulk and Miss Marvel. Supposed to have Miss Marvel in January or something like that. Still no trailer there.
And we've got Hawkeye coming.
Oh,
so there's a lot of rumors about that. So good. You know, Kingpin and just get Kingpin and Daredevil back for us. Let's just get them in. Let's get them confirmed. You know, done. It's a done deal. You're in. And then we go from there, and you just keep on building the catalogue, and you use them when you want, but just get them in for a start.
I was going to say, at this point, I need some answers, because I'm so tired of the speculation, because it's been, we've been talking about this since Daredevil got cancelled, and it was just such a shock at the time. Like, so I'm ready for them to just be like, all right, back in.
Yeah, there you go. There's so much happening. There's going to be so much happening in the next couple of weeks. As Aaron mentioned there, it is Disney Plus Day on the 5th of November, and there's a lot of stuff getting released. You know, Marvel stuff and Star Wars stuff is going to be released on that day as well. In terms of
because Star Wars has been quiet as well,
We've obviously got Boba Fett, book of Boba Fett coming up very soon, very very soon. Probably due a trailer for that, won't we?
Yeah,
must be,
or at least a teaser at minimum.
And that'll come on the 5th, I imagine, because it's only coming out. It's coming out in December, so lots of good stuff coming up. We'll hopefully be covering it here on the Nerds Social Club podcast, and also we cover it all on our socials. It is on Twitter at Nerds Social Club. Make sure you check that out. And that's also the place you'll find out all the details to join our Discord, where someone is always talking about something, whether it be
pretty much
Marvel, DC, whatever TV show we're watching, whatever game we're playing, Minecraft, like Aaron the absolute loser there. And then soon as Christmas comes and I can get my PS5 out the box, not the PS5 I'm giving away.
Not the. Do you have a spare one?
I haven't got a spare one. No, I haven't got a spare one. No, I haven't got a spare one. Rumors are
someone commented on Twitter, I'm not watching you live unless I get that PS5 from Ped.
Yeah, rumors are I've got a spare PS5. I haven't. And if anyone tells you I have, ignore them. They're drunk and they want your money.
I was going to say, you're telling people.
No, it's not me. Not me. Not me.
Yeah, for anyone who doesn't know, who hasn't seen it, by the way, Ped's main Twitter account at Ped7 got hacked. If he's advertising a PS5, it is not Ped. You can follow Ped now at what? Ped7TTV?
Yeah, Ped7TTV. Yeah, my main
Go
one
give him a
hacked.
follow. You deserve a couple of follows.
My main one was hacked by Prince Andrew. It wasn't.
It's the Dolphins.
It wasn't. It was the Dolphins. And it was
they got this. They're in line with the spiders hacking the internet.
And Zog. Yeah. None of this is real. This is an illusion.
It's a construct.
There you go. Join us very, very soon for another podcast, and make sure to check out all the socials and our Discord. And we'll be back really soon. See you again. Bye.